Can't think of anything to say. Muse? And you know that is not true. I always can think of something to say. The big question is the thing that I have to say original? Or am I just rehashing something that someone else has said, who, of course, rehashed something that someone else had said, who, of course, rehashed something that someone else had said? You get the idea. I wasn't intending on having a conversation with you today. Not that I didn't want to have a conversation with you today, Muse. I always want to have conversations with you because our conversations, for me, are so enlightening. But this morning, I got a little message from someone. And not only did I want to share that message, I wanted to expand upon that message. Because I think that message is important to other writers, and maybe even readers, or anyone who might create content or anything of artistic value. So, what was it that I got this morning? So as you know, I submitted Fear to Devil Dog Press. And I didn't actually submit it to them. They pretty much asked me to write something new. So I finished the manuscript and I gave it to their editor. That's a better description. So that happened a couple weeks ago. Now, of course, as I am wont to do, the second I sent it to the editor, the hand-wringing did commence. And the imposter syndrome sunk in and blah, 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 blah. You know how it goes. But today I got a couple of messages from the editor. Now, this editor in question is very well known as being pretty hard-nosed. Pretty hard-nosed. And so she's kind of a tough cookie. But this morning, she sent me a message saying that, first off, she absolutely loved my voice. Yay, big win. But even more important than that, she said that the premise of this book was one of the most original that she had read in a very long time, if not ever. I don't remember if I added that if ever to the message or not. She may have said if ever. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. It's an original premise. That's what's important. Originality. So, of course, I thought maybe I should address this particular topic with you, Muse. Because first and foremost, you have given me some absolutely incredible ideas, most of which are original. Don't get your feelings hurt or your underpants in a bind. Because yes, there have been a couple of instances where you've given me ideas. And I discovered very quickly that they might not have been the most original. There's one in particular that I can think of. I'm not going to mention which one it was. But you have, on occasion, given me an idea that I immediately went, oh, yes, I'll take that one. Only to find out that someone had probably written something very similar and that I really couldn't do that. But you gave me the idea. And that doesn't mean it has to go unwritten. Right? Right. Because it's really easy to take any idea and twist it in such a way that it becomes original. Because we all know, I mean, let's face it, there are only 7 original plots. And they've all been written to death. You know the 7 plots. I can't recall them all at once, but there's man against man, man against self, man against nature, man against machine, Man Against the Masses. I can't remember the rest of them. But there are effectively 7 plots. Period. And Shakespeare wrote them all. And come to find out that Shakespeare kind of stole them from someone else, and Shakespeare stole from himself. Shakespeare repeated themes all the time. So originality is actually quite difficult to come by these days, because think about it. Think about how many hundreds of thousands upon millions of books have been written to this date. Think about it. Now, with that number in mind, imagine how hard it is to really come up with a unique, original idea, knowing that out there somewhere, your idea has probably been written. So what do? Well, you can't just say, my story is about X, only to find out that X has already been covered among the many, many books that are available. So then you can't go, okay, my book is about XY. And what I've done was I've effectively taken X, and the original X was with a male character, and I'm going to make my book with a female character with the same story idea. No, you can't do that. That doesn't, yes, you can do that. And we see it happen all the time. Just recently, I watched the reboot of High Fidelity. They took the movie and turned it into a TV series, and they swapped the genders. And, it worked. I had some problems with it towards the second half of the season, but for the most part, it worked. And in this day and age, swapping genders like that is a plus. But, and of course, it was also a musical that I think only ran for 12 performances on Broadway. Imagine that. So, what do you do when you have an idea that your muse has given you under the guise of it being original, only to discover that it's not as original as your muse assumed? What do? There are a number of things you can do with it. But which is best suited for your idea? That's the trouble. That's the problem. One of the things that I've done before is, let's say, for example, when you, muse, came up with the idea of, yes, it was A Tale of Two Reapers. When you gave me the original idea for that book, after a little bit of research, the original idea you gave me was awfully close to the movie Death Takes a Holiday. I certainly could not continue onward with the idea you gave me, because that would look exactly like me stealing an idea from somebody else and writing it into a different media. And truth be told, there's probably other books that have stolen that very same idea, have borrowed from that very same idea. So I had to think about it. I had to figure out a way to take the idea that you gave me and make it original. Now, it happened, and the idea, A Tale of Two Reapers, wound up being completely different than the idea you gave me, but the core was still there. And what I did to that idea, and I'm having to hearken way back, but originally the focus, the idea that you gave me, Muse, was that the Grim Reaper was just tired of doing what he did and wanted to be done with it. And yes, it sounded like a great idea. And it was a great idea. And that great idea became a Jimmy Stewart movie. And I couldn't steal that idea. That just wouldn't go over very well, now would it? Sorry, that's a horrible Jimmy Stewart impersonation. I don't do impersonations. I am not a comic. So what I did to make it different was completely change the focus. That instead of Death becoming tired of what he did, Death accidentally caused a situation where he could fall in love. I know it's crazy because to that date I hadn't really written anything that was primarily a romance, albeit a quirky romance, which is I've been focusing a lot on lately. I don't know what that says about me or the world around me, but I managed very easily to twist that idea into something original. And that's kind of where we are. I mean, take, for instance, the zombie genre. It has been written to death and back. Har, har, har. How do you come up with a post-apocalyptic premise that's original? How did I do it? With fear. Well, the first thing I did was I scrapped the idea of the zombies. I decided I wanted to write a post-apocalyptic story without zombies because zombies do not have a monopoly on the post-apocalyptic genre. They just don't. So, boom, there's one layer removed that helped to make the possibility of this story unique. What did I do then after that? Well, I decided that I wanted to combine two genres, two subgenres, sort of, into one. And in the combination, I came up with something unique. And that we have been experiencing that for some time now. Only thanks to the world of indie authors. Because traditional publishing, as any indie author will tell you, is very narrow in their scope. It's almost as if they only want those 7 plots, and that's it. And they'll accept some variations on those themes, but that's it. And by plots I mean genres. They don't want you to mix and match your genres. They want to keep them pure. And that's great. That's fine. That's perfect. Yay them. But along comes the indie authors about 10 years ago-ish. And we said, yeah, we're kind of bored with that. We think there's more depth to be mined from genres. So we started mixing and matching. We took stripes and polka dots and put them together. We took different variations of plaid and put them together. We took stripes and plaid and put it together. Polka dots and plaid. Brown and black. We put it all together. Sometimes we put even more than 2 together. Polka dots, plaid, and stripes. We put them together and we made something unique. Polka stripes. Plaidodots. That's what we did. And we were proud of it. Because at that time, all of a sudden, we had paranormal romance. We created genres. Because the traditional publishers were certainly not going to create new genres because they were happy with the ones they had. And we were bored. So we used our imagination and we did something different. Now, the same thing happens in the music industry. I remember when I first started listening to music way back in the Stone Age, Get Off My Yard and all that, we had maybe 2 or 3 different genres of music. We had rock, we had pop, and we had country. As the years went by, we started getting subgenres. And now there are more musical genres than there are bands, I think. Have you ever heard of sludge metal? It's a thing. There's so many types of metal music out there. I can't even count the ways. So we're not done yet. We're going to keep dividing and subdividing and cross-pollinating genres until your heads will spin right off your shoulders. Because in the doing, we are creating something new. So if you're a writer out there listening to me blather on and on and on, if you have come up with an idea that you think is brilliant and unique, and you find out that, oh crap, someone already wrote it, and that original idea just happens to be in the post-apocalyptic genre, what are you going to do? First thing you can do is say, is there another genre that I can combine this to make something completely different? Kind of like the first time that the sci-fi horror movie was made. Somebody had an idea for a sci-fi film that was already done. They said, well, what can I do? Let's make it a sci-fi horror film. We'll add horror elements into it and turn it into something completely unique. So they did more than just gender swap, which is fine. You can gender swap all you want. You can swap all sorts of things. Mix and match, as it were. But the truth of the matter is the second you come up with an idea, the first thing you need to do, second and first, is to find out if that idea has already been done. And if it's been done, has it been done to death? And if it was done, how did they do it? What was the focus of that idea? So you might have to do a little bit of research. And I'm not talking about just seeing if the title was taken. I'm talking about read the description. And if the description sounds awfully familiar, then read the book. And if the book is pretty much the story that you were going to write, then you've got some work to do. Then you can play with genres. You could play with locations. You could play with time periods. You could play with just about anything. But the important thing is to play. Because in the playing, and the more you play, the more unique your idea will be. See what I'm saying? Your goal as a writer should always be to create something new and unique and original. So take the time and make the effort to do that. Even if it means you have to scrap ideas or reconstruct or deconstruct and reconstruct ideas until they are original. Because once you've come up with something original, then you've got something special. And all you have to do is write it. That's the easy part, really, truthfully. The writing of the book is the easy part. The coming up with the original idea is the hardest part. The marketing of the book is next, and the writing of the book is after that. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm selling. You get what I'm throwing down. I've thrown it down. The gauntlet's on the floor. Do you or do you not pick it up? Muse. And that's all I've got to say. That sounded angry. I'm not angry at you, Muse. I'm actually quite happy with you, Muse. I am a lark. Everything is a lark today. When I get done talking to you, I'm going to go have another lark somewhere else. Because, Muse, yeah, that's right. You, my friend, are original. No, that's not right. You are stupendous. No. Unique. No. Fun. No. A shenanigan waiting to be happened. No. You are awesome. Why'd I do that? I don't know.